What's going on, everyone? Hope you're having a great day. Hope you're excited for this tutorial because today we're going to be taking a look at one of my favorite effects in all of photo manipulation, and that is glow or bloom. Uh, so to see how bloom can really change a flip photo, let's just take a look at this photo manipulation I've made. You can see it's not very good. It's just there's a guy right here, big jellyfish. You don't really know what's going on. But once I add light blue, you can see that it really changes the photo. Now we have some kind of atmosphere. You can kind of start to see depth here. And it just looks a whole lot cooler in general. So today we're going to be taking a look at how to do that and how to do it very easily. A bit about myself. My name is Iquan. Um, I run Lunal Graphics, which is we make free software for digital artists. And our most popular tool, as you might know, is called SuperBloom. It's the most installed plugin on Photopea. And now it is available to use as a plugin in Photoshop. So if you're a Photoshop user, you can create this effect without ever having to leave your editor. So let's jump right into it. First thing, obviously, is we're going to have to install the plugin. To do that, you can come over to the Adobe Exchange website. This link will be in the description. You can install a plugin from here. If you prefer, you can also use the Creative Cloud desktop app. Yes, I've already installed it, but if you come over to search bar, look up SuperBloom under Stock and Marketplace. Under plugins, you'll see it right here, SuperBloom for Photoshop. All right, there we go. And since I have my Photoshop window open, you'll already see that the plugins popped up in like this separate little tab. If you don't see your plugins, just make sure you have this plugins thing up in your menu bar, and you should be able to have plugins panel, and you will see this little pop-up. Now to make this easier, I can drag the little tab, place it into my sidebar just like that. Now I can open the plugin whenever I want. So how do we really use this plugin? First, you have to open your document that your art is on, and just simply open our pop-up, and you'll see two options. One is you can create a new SuperBloom layer, or you can edit selected layer. We're going to be talking about what that second button does later. For now, just focus on new SuperBloom layer. Make sure you are at the top of your document in the layers panel, because you want your bloom effect to be over everything. But once you're ready to go, you can just hit new SuperBloom layer. And you'll see that SuperBloom opens in this new pop-up right here. You'll see that the image that we had in our document is loaded directly into SuperBloom. Is a reason why it was important for you to do this on top of the image, is because it takes everything below it. And you'll see that we have some options on the side, and if we edit them, we get different results. So let's just quickly walk through what each of these means. Threshold is like how much of our image we want to be glowing. So if it's high, like 254, that means only the brightest pixels will be having this effect, whereas the lower you push it, the more of the image you get. Depth and radius both control the size of the bloom. Depth is kind of how many layers of bloom you have. Radius is just how spread out they get. Colorize, we'll be talking about that later. We won't really need it right now. But brightness, saturation, and hue shift is what you'd expect. Helps you change the color. Then there's anamorph, which gives you that sort of anamorphic streaking effect that you see in a lot of movies. And then over here, we just have a few options that'll help make it easier to edit. So we have this checkbox that lets you see the before and after of the effect. You have preview mode. You can focus on only the glow, so you can see what exactly you're adding to your image. You can also look at only your mask, and this helps you choose your threshold, so you know what exactly you're adding to your light source. Gonna bring it back to full. You also see we have preview quality. This just, if you have a lower quality, it renders faster. So if you have a massive image, it might help to push that quality down so you can edit in real time. For now, I'm just going to keep it back around 50%, 0.5. And I'm just going to play with these settings until I get something that I might like. Maybe drop the brightness a little bit. And you'll see that I'm letting this cloud area kind of get overexposed, even if I don't want to. That's fine for now. What I do is hit finish to add the image back to the document. Wait for it to load. And you'll see that it's added as a separate layer set to screen. That means that you can modify it just as you would any other layer, including maybe adding a layer mask to it. So if I don't like this part at the bottom, I can just mask that out. Probably not on radial mode, but just like that. Give us a gradient here. All right. And because we've set it up like this, I can also add a separate SuperBloom layer. This time, just so that I don't have my first bloom affecting the second one, I'll hide the one I've just created and hit new SuperBloom layer. All right. This time I just want some anamorphic streaks. What I'll do is come out over to mask and make sure only the brightest areas are in there. Go back to full and just bump up the anamorph, just like that. Maybe lower the brightness so we're not seeing too much of it. They just bump over a hue so we get more of a teal color. All right, and once I'm satisfied with the result, I can hit finish. Just wait for that to load. And you'll see that with just a few clicks, I have now transformed my image with both this basic glow and our anamorphic streak here. Kind of adds that sort of camera-like quality to it. All right, now as I promised, we're getting back to this second button, which says Edit Selected Layer. We might want to edit them after the fact, like after we've created the blue. Maybe I'm not quite satisfied with the color I see here. But what I can do is just, again, I'm going to hide the bottom one, and I can hit Edit Selected Layer. And it will reopen my bloom layer within the plugin. And you'll see I have the exact same settings as I had before. Well, now maybe I'll slide the hue shift over a little more. Um, Maybe lower the depth, the threshold, sorry. Or you can either use the sliders or edit the numbers themselves. Just do -30 degrees for now. Yeah, that looks pretty good. So I'll hit finish, and you'll see that um, I'll actually be able to change the effect that I had from before. So that's before and that's after. Um, and that means that this effect is completely non-destructive. It doesn't, destroy any of the other layers in your document, and all of the new layers are editable. Like you can make whatever changes you want, and you can go back and modify them later if needed. Now, just a couple quirks here. You'll notice that um, there's instead of actually editing the old layer, it adds a new one and just hides the old layer. That was intentional. That's just to make sure that just in case something goes wrong, you still have this old layer to keep. But if you want, you can just delete it right away. Also, another thing, the reason uh, why I had this layer hidden is because every time I edit a SuperBloom layer, um, it will take into account the updated document. That means if I were to make changes, I can still use the same bloom setting, but have the all the new items in my bloom. So that means if I kept this layer on um, while I edited this top layer, then it would include the bloom that I already have here, which is not what I want. All right, that's looking pretty good. So now let's move on to our next example. This is just a quick thing I threw together. Stock photo of a guy, masked it out, added some highlights using normal maps. And then I put a simple texture and some lines behind them. What I want to do here is make these lines glow as if they're a light source. And I want to make sure it seems like they're the actual light source that's creating these orange highlights. So again, I'll open up the SuperBloom plugin and hit new SuperBloom layer. Cool. And once we have this image loaded in here, again, I'll be adjusting the threshold to make sure my light source is really in there. And obviously the light should be orange, not white. So I'll just hit colorize. Now you can change the color with this little color picker right here. I think I'm going to keep it around where it was before, but this color is way too strong for my liking. So what I can do is modify the opacity. And this refers to the opacity of the colorization effect, not the glow itself. Then I'll probably just drop the brightness because, it's way too bright. Or maybe bump up the anamorph just a tad. I'm pretty happy with that, so I'll hit finish on there. All right, now for our last example, we're going to be taking a look at a technique that you should probably know. Say I want to add glow to our subject's eyes in this picture, but if you just come over to new SuperBloom layer and then you try to modify the threshold to isolate your eyes, you realize it's not really going to work because there's so many parts of the image that are brighter than her eyes. So to do that, I can just kind of manually mask stuff out in my actual Photoshop document. Easy way to view this is to add black to all the areas that you don't want to see bloom in. Um, I have my eyes on a separate layer here, already masked with the mouse. So what I can do is just add black behind it, and maybe hide all of my lightning layers. And then now I can hit new super bloom layer, drop the threshold all the way to 0 if I want. Maybe not 0, a little bit higher. And now whatever I do, it'll just affect the eyes. Hit finish. And once I can bring my lightning back and hide the black layer, and you can see that our glow is isolated to just the eyes. Okay, so hopefully these few examples give you enough to get started with SuperBloom. You can see that it's a great way to add dimension to your images in just a few clicks. Obviously, there's a lot of different ways you can use this plugin, so please check it out and let me know how it goes, whether you like the plugin, if there's anything that can be improved. Uh, let me know in the comments, and I will see you in the next video.